When I thought of making a video on this topic, I never wished to rant against any design school in the country. But I think this is what this has turned out to be. I'm not sure what would be your takeaway from this video. My intention is not to demotivate you, but to make you more aware of the situation and the scenario of the design education in the country. So let's start with some of the things that I found are severely missing in the curriculum of the design school. Design schools are not developing the creator mindset. No doubt, some premium colleges are good in imparting technical skills or the core craftsmanship, which is prerequisite for a designer. But the workplace of the future, in fact, the current startup culture in the country, demands designers who can participate in the decision making. Designers who can do the validation for the new product, demand designers with a strong point of view, and those who can participate in the business decisions. Now, all of this is not required of a designer in an established firm, as every job there is beautifully bifurcated. For example, a UI designer job in a big firm is divided into multiple specific roles. Whereas the startup, I think, is an opportunity for the designers to break the cocoon of, the artist in his own world wala tag and contribute in making the next unicorn. Unfortunately, no one is preparing designers on this front. Forget helping a unicorn, designers are not equipped with the proper entrepreneurial skills to start his or her freelance journey. Designers are severely lacking the business acumen in the country. Now, some of you will argue that there are incubations and startup funds in the college. Yes, that's true. But my friend, it is for those who wish to start a company. What I am saying is that a designer should understand the language of the business. It should be part of the curriculum. Second, design schools are making oven-ready designers. The world outside the college campus and internship is quite muddy and chaotic. Being a perfect in one job wala tag does not work anymore. As a product designer, you are expected to excel in graphic design, video production, motion design, or maybe any other skill set which people are doing great as self-learners outside. Today, you cannot afford 4 years mastering just one skill set, and if you do so, even NID or IIT का tag भी आपको मदद नहीं कर पाएगा in the industry. Designers of today and the future will be expected to learn and grow before anyone else on the planet. The design schools, on the other hand, are still preparing you for just one role, rigorously working in the same domain while the world outside is demanding the jack of all trades. Design education today demands cross-discipline learning where students can learn from each other, while design schools are still focusing on that 200 years old tradition of Guru Shishya Parampara.
मैं चाहता हूँ कि कल सुबह आप सारे स्टूडेंट्स के सामने आएं और उनसे कहें कि आज तक आपने उन्हें जो कुछ कहा, उन्हें जो कुछ सिखाया वो सब एक झूठ था.
The next is, the design schools are not preparing you for the future roles. There is no doubt that recently there has been a rise in the demand for designers in the country. This is because new age entrepreneurs understand the value of design. This trend is visible everywhere in the world. But right now, everything is limited to UI designers and to some extent, product design as well. But in the near future, there would be new roles and challenges for the designers to take up. For example, recently there has been a demand for business designers and chief design officers. Now the point is, are students in the design school ever get a chance to discuss these roles and challenges? And this is just an example. The designers of the future would be expected to understand various subjects like psychology, science, economics, sociology, and so on. Are designers in the design school introduced to these subjects? Design schools, on the other hand, admit students and teach them skills that can be learned in a few months and then make them wait for 4 years before they could actually work in the industry. I think that's opposite of fast learning, isn't it? I think students have started realizing this already. Have you noticed the rise of many boot camps of UI UX design on the internet? Why waste 4 years of your life if you can do the same thing in 3 months? Next, design schools are not training you to how to compete with the non-designers. A designer knows how to compete with other designers. Show them your best ideas and prove it that you know how to do it. But how would you compete if everyone in the room knows how to do it? To illustrate this better, take the example of graphic design. A few years ago, graphic design was a high-profile skill. Cut to 2020, everyone can become a fantastic graphic designer on Canva. The same thing happened with web design, and right now we are witnessing the same pattern in UI UX design. If design school is making you just graphic designer or just interaction designer, how would you compete yourself if everyone out there knows how to do it? If non-designers can do what you can do, then what a designer would do? Well, don't worry, I'm not saying that the trained designer's life will be doomed. No. Designers would be expected to take up leadership role in the organization. They would be expected to be the next CEO in the company. But that's not easy. How would you compete with a trained MBA graduate who is in the line for the same post and was trained for this position? Was a designer trained to take up such role? Well, ask your design college for that. I read it somewhere that for most of the successful designers, the learning happened outside the college. No wonder if college is stuck in the 200 years old pedagogy, learning would happen outside. Without working on these parameters, the outcome of design colleges is like an oven-baked designer left alone in the ever-changing industry to survive. All he learned in his 4 years was to make some screen mock-ups on Illustrator and wish to live his creative dreams. And on the top of that, he has a loan of lakhs on his head to cover. I think it's time we question the credibility of design education in India.